Good evening everyone, I'm Nat Adamopoulos and this is Full On Football, the only local TV show that promotes local South Australian football. Well, tonight is our very last show for 2007, so it is a little sad, but we've got some great guests on tonight, so I'm sure it's going to be a good show for you. It is only a few weeks away from Christmas, and that's time to give thanks and spend time with family. And of course Christmas is associated with the wise men, and that's exactly who we've got on tonight, representing Adelaide United Football Club. With us here for the very first time we have Dario Fontanarosa, the chairman of Adelaide United, and of course a man who was on our very first show of Full On Football, Director of Football, Michael Petrillo. Welcome to Full On Football, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nat.
Happy to be here.
Lovely to have you too. Michael, I thought we would start off looking at last week's game where Adelaide played Melbourne Victory. Now, the media touted it as the return to the scene of the crime game, but I thought really the only crime committed was that Adelaide United weren't able to hold on to their 2-0 lead going into half-time.
Yeah, well, it was disappointing, Nat. Obviously, when you're 2-0 up, I think, well, we had 1-0 lead going into half-time and then went 2-0 up just after half-time. But just the circumstances that it occurred in, you know, obviously having made the 3 substitutions and then losing Nathan, going to 10 men, penalty that was probably needless really, and in the last minute, you know, an own goal with Richie, and it's the first own goal he's ever scored in his life. So it felt like we had it taken away from us right at the last minute, and we certainly there was a feeling of throwing away 2 points and also handing one to Melbourne that they really didn't deserve.
Well,
but that's the way it goes.
Definitely Melbourne came out fighting for their lives in the second half.
They had to.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and you expect that. I mean, you're away from home. If you're playing at home and you're 1-0 down or you're down with any score, you've got to come out, and we expected that. But I thought just before they scored their goal or they got their penalty, I thought we were well in control. We seemed to cut their momentum, because after the second goal, I don't know if you noticed or not, but we certainly took notice of the body language of the Melbourne players. They were, you know, shoulders were down, heads were down. I think they well and truly thought they were out of it, and they played that way. So to have conceded a penalty right then, it was the worst time for it to happen, and that certainly changed the whole momentum of the game, unfortunately.
And I think I even heard Annie Merrick saying that the boys thought that they had it well and truly lost, but to their credit they picked up, and the rest was history. On a positive note though, good to see that Paul Agostino was able to score both of those goals. So him coming back from injury now seems like he's coming good at the right time.
Yeah, look, I've been saying since the start of the season, because he's poor bloke's copped a little bit of criticism. You know, he unfortunately broke a bone in his foot just before he left to come out to Australia. Had only played a couple of games in about 10 months, and it was always going to be the situation where after 5 or 6 consecutive games he was going to come good, and he's probably come good a little bit earlier than what we thought. So 3 goals in the last 2 games, and you can just see his whole attitude at training's changed. His confidence has grown, and he's certainly now showing what he's capable of. Nat, and I mean, don't play 10 years in Bundesliga and captain your side if you can't play the game.
Exactly.
And he's such a great person and a great professional, and I'm just grateful that he's hit some form now.
Yeah, I am too. I think it is fantastic that he's able to find some form and score the goals, because that's what his job is. So, as you said, a lot of confidence for him. And as you said, spare a thought for Richie, because, I mean, you know, he was trying to defend that goal. Unfortunately, his header did go in, and I think he's been one of the most consistent players this year for Adelaide United.
Yeah, I think you're right, Nat. He's the first year of Adelaide United, he was sensational. I think last year, if he was honest, he'd say that his form is down. Was down last year, but this year he's just picked it up again, and he's been absolutely fantastic for us, and probably our most consistent player.
Fantastic. Now I thought, let's look at the results over the last weekend with all the games. So we had Wellington Phoenix defeating Perth Glory 3-0 with Shane Smeltz. He's been doing well for Phoenix over there, and Felipe as well. And then Sydney coming up with the goods, defeating Newcastle 1-0 with Corica very, very late in the game there with a goal. And of course Melbourne and Adelaide drawing 2-2. Muscat again getting another penalty. I mean, he is just that penalty snatcher. And Paul Agostino getting the 2 goals for Adelaide United. And Queensland defeating Central Coast, which is a fantastic effort on their behalf, 2-1. Aurelio Vidmar getting an own goal there too. So look at, you know, 2 great players in the A-League scoring own goals. And of course for Central Coast, John Eloisi, I mean, he's been doing fantastically since he signed up with Central Coast. Let's have a look at the ladder after round 16, and we've got Central Coast still up on top on 27 points, but it is starting, you know, the teams underneath them are starting to close the gap now. Queensland Roar on 26, Adelaide United still in third spot on 23, not far away, so we're only 4 points away from Central Coast, which is pleasing. Newcastle Jets on 22, Sydney FC 21, Melbourne Victory 17, Wellington Phoenix on 16 and Perth Glory on 13. And of course, highlighted there we've got Central Coast and Sydney because their game was abandoned, and that game has been rescheduled for Saturday the 22nd of December at the Blue Tongue Stadium. So all eyes will be on that game to see what happens there, because that could be a crucial in where teams stand after that game. Dario, directing my question to you now, looking at the table there, we can see how close the competition is, and it has been said many, many times that this year's been a very even competition. Do you think it's the salary cap that's making its mark there?
I think it is. I think that obviously all the clubs now, we've had 2 seasons under our belt, and everyone's learnt so much on on where to spend the money, and it shows on the table that the teams are so competitive. I mean, we've been pretty lucky that a lot of other results have gone our way, so to sit on third as well. But salary cap's good because it keeps it consistent, keeps everyone on the same playing path. So there's not too many excuses as far as having better or worse players. So salary cap's actually a good thing, and it's starting to show that it's keeping everyone very close.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the challenge that lies ahead of you for the next round, round 17. So we'll look at the fixtures for round 17, and Wellington Phoenix are up against Queensland Roar on Friday night at home, and then of course Adelaide United have their home game also on Friday night at 7:30 against the Central Coast Mariners. An absolutely huge match for Adelaide United.
Yeah, look, it's funny how things pan out. We win this game and we're only sitting a point behind top, albeit the Central Coast have a game in hand, but it just puts some what I call scoreboard pressure on them. All of a sudden they see that gap closing and teams creeping up on them, and it's amazing how much pressure gets put back onto the players and onto the coaching staff. So big game for us. I think if we can win that, I seriously think that from then on there's a chance that we could grab top spot, Matt.
Well, I hope so, because I'll be right there behind you. Looking back at the fixtures, we've got Sydney up against Perth Glory on Saturday night. Another big, well, who knows with Perth? I mean, they come up one week and the next week they're defeated by Wellington Phoenix. So, they'd like to perform there for Dave Mitchell. And also Melbourne Victory on Sunday up against Newcastle Jets. Very big test for them. They're both sitting middle of the table, and be very, very interesting to see what happens in that match. And, well, as I said, people can move around on the table with anything happening, and scores and games are so unpredictable. I'd like to actually have a look at your Adelaide Oval match. Now, we've been advertising this over the last three weeks or so. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about, is it good we're going there? Is it bad? It's not good for spectators. What are your comments about this? I mean, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to not only give the game to the football community, but also open it up to everyone else.
There was a couple of strategies for us now for moving to Adelaide Oval. Obviously, I mean, Sydney's going to be a big game anyway, so we're always hoping to draw a bigger crowd. But what maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, if Adelaide had won the right to host the grand final, the chances are we won't be able to have it in Adelaide. So, for example, if we were to play Sydney and we had the right to host it in Adelaide, they'd probably put the game in Sydney. Yeah. So for us, I mean, that's disappointing as a club, because we do all that work to host the grand final here. So this is our chance and opportunity now to go to Adelaide Oval to see how that's going to go. There is 50-50. Some people don't like it because they like their spot at Hindmarsh Stadium, and Hindmarsh is the best place to really watch a game. But look, we want to try. We're hoping that everyone's going to get behind it, and if we can get a good crowd, hopefully the FFA will let us host the finals there.
Well, as we said, we have been advertising it. Let's have a look at the 3 different ticket packages that you're able to obtain for this. You've got the match day ticket only. As I say each and every week, these are fantastic prices, fantastic gifts to give for people for Christmas. Both football and non-football followers, because you introduce a person new into the game, they might really like it and come back again and introduce more friends. So That's the tickets for the match day only there. And then we're looking at the next ticket package, which of course is the 2-match ticket offer, which is round 18 versus Sydney and then round 21 versus Queensland Roar. We're just waiting for that to come up on the screen. I mean, look, you've got prices like 2-match